Echo TV is a co-production of Minnesota's Emergency, Community, and Health Outreach Collaborative of health, safety, emergency preparedness, ethnic and nonprofit agencies, and TPT's Minnesota channel.
Hello and welcome to ECHO, Emergency, Community, and Health Outreach. I'm your host, Lillian McDonald. ECHO brings information to multiple languages, health, safety, emergency preparedness, and civic engagement topics. Our program this time is about affordable housing. Watch this piece first, and then we'll speak to some experts and answer your questions.
Everyone needs a comfortable home in a safe neighborhood. However, housing costs a lot of money. Experts say no more than 1/3 of your income should go to pay for your housing. That is difficult for people with low incomes. Families, single adults, and youth who cannot pay the full cost of housing may qualify for a subsidy, which means the government or a community organization pays part of the cost. Find out if you qualify for subsidized housing and sign up for it. There is not enough subsidized housing for everyone who qualifies, so you may have to wait. If you are homeless and need temporary housing right away, contact your county housing or social services office for help. There are two kinds of long-term housing: rental and home ownership. Rental housing may be an apartment or a house. When you apply to rent a home, the landlord may check your rental history, credit rating, and criminal history. The rental agreement is a legal contract called a lease. Read it very carefully before you sign it. Find someone you trust to help you understand it. Even if you don't read English, you have to obey the lease once you sign it. The lease says how many months you can stay in your home. It says how much money to pay for monthly rent and for a damage deposit. When you move in, take photos of any existing damage to prove you did not cause it. Keep the home clean and make proper use of any appliances, like the washing machine or garbage disposal. If it is a large apartment complex, you may have extra rules to follow. The lease says whether you or the landlord pays for utilities, water, heat, and electricity. The lease may limit how many people can live in the home or whether pets are allowed. You, as the tenant, have rights. If anything is broken in the home, it's the landlord's duty to repair it. If you disobey the lease, the landlord can force you to leave, but the landlord must give you written warning first. Before you move out, you must give advance notice to your landlord. The other type of housing is home ownership. Before you buy a home, take a class on home ownership. Get advice on how to find realtors, lenders, and home ownership counselors you can trust. It is important to have a good credit rating and some money saved for a down payment. Beware of people, even those in your community, who offer deals that seem too good to be true. They may cheat you and take your money. Community agencies and government offices have trustworthy programs to help first-time homebuyers with loans and down payments. Don't buy a home unless you're ready. Home ownership is a long-term commitment. Many people are losing the homes they own and rent because of foreclosure. If you rent, there are programs to help you understand your rights if your landlord is foreclosed. If you own a home, there are programs to help you work with your lender to keep your home. As soon as you have trouble making a mortgage payment, that is the time to seek help.
Welcome back. You're watching ECHO, Emergency, Community, and Health Outreach. I'm your host, Lillian McDonald. This program is about affordable housing, how to help folks find a place to live. And joining us to talk about this subject is Alicia Huckleby. She is the Special Projects and Strategic Planning Coordinator for the St. Paul Public Housing Agency. Thank you very much for joining us on ECHO.
Thank you for having me, Lillian.
Appreciate your time and expertise. You know, we should say, too, that while this topic is being produced in the state of Minnesota, some of the concepts actually apply nationwide.
Oh, of course.
Okay.
No doubt about it.
Let's talk about, let's just define it. What is affordable housing today, especially when the economy is so tight?
Sure. Well, it can mean a few different things, but essentially it is lower cost housing that fits within a family's budget. And there is a shortage of affordable housing out there, but it's not impossible to find. What's important is that if it's something you need in terms of subsidized affordable housing, there are waiting lists usually for that, and so you want to act quickly, okay? Because really the wait time can depend on the size of unit that your family really needs. For example, for smaller bedroom homes, and I should use the term homes, the wait could be, as low as 6 months. However, if you have a bigger family and you need a 3 or 4 bedroom home, sometimes on certain waiting lists you can be waiting up to a few years for that home.
ECHO primarily communicates with immigrants and refugees, and we see an influx of them moving into Minnesota all the time. And there are, anybody can need or go without a job or find themselves in a situation where they might need some affordable housing. Yeah. But why is there such a shortage of affordable housing? Is it we're not building it fast enough, or is it just that many more people need it these days?
Well, I think a lot of people need it these days, and really there hasn't been an increase in certain types of affordable housing like public housing or certain terms of other subsidized housing, such as Section 8, for a while in specific areas. And so that's why it's important, again, not to wait if that's the type of housing that you or your family is in need of.
So our goal is to get people into homes, no matter what. Planning ahead is clearly one of the insights that you offer. What kinds of housing do people seek? I mean, obviously, the sky's the limit. We've got apartments, single-family homes.
Right. Some people are interested in mobile homes, sometimes beyond just rental or long-term home ownership. Sometimes families don't have a place and need immediate shelter to live in if they're homeless. The point is, though, the general rule, the accepted rule, is that for affordable housing, to make it affordable, it should really be no more than 30% of a family's annual income.
You don't want to become what's called house poor. You've got a house, you got a roof over your head, but you can't fill it with furniture or pay for groceries or unexpected expenses that just come up from time to time. What if a homeless person or family needs shelter immediately? They have no income. They have no affordable housing home to go to. How do we find these resources?
Well, they really want to contact their county human services agency because that's their role, and they can provide information on shelter opportunities for these families. And actually, they can do referrals. Sometimes this differs depending on where you live. In rural areas, the county may even provide a family a voucher for a motel. There's also a hotline provided by the Twin Cities United Way, 211, which individuals can call to find information on available shelters. What you have to remember if you are in this situation is that a shelter is not a long-term solution. It's really a place that someone's going to be able to stay in for about 30 days. And while you're there, again, you want to make the most of your time by then applying for the subsidized or other affordable housing options that you might need.
We should make a distinction, too, that if you're displaced in your home because of a fire, let's say, or a serious flood, the Red Cross will usually come in and step in and give you a hand. Again, temporary shelter.
Exactly.
This affordable shelter, if you will, or temporary shelter that you're talking about is something that comes up that's an unfortunate situation.
Exactly. Big difference there.
What about, okay, so now we're seeking some affordable housing. Let's say that we've been able to transition from a shelter and we've been accepted on a list of affordable housing, and we're entering into an agreement.
Sure.
And typically these are called leases.
Right.
Okay. What is a lease, and what can we expect in a lease?
Right. Well, really a lease is a contract for renting a home or an apartment, and it spells out the responsibilities of both the landlord and the tenant who's going to live there. The majority of leases are verbal, but you always hear of, or excuse me, not verbal but written, but you always hear of some households entering into verbal leases, and you really want to be careful.
Yeah, and Alicia, you bring up a good point on that, because it sounds verbal at first when you're calling about, well, how much is it going to cost me every month to live here? What do I get in the facility itself? How many bedrooms? And that's an all verbal conversation, but eventually you have to sign a piece of paper, this lease agreement between the landlord and the tenant. And that's actually a good thing. It's a level of protection. But not all countries do this, and not all cultures do this. A lot of them operate just on these handshake or verbal agreements.
Sure.
But you guard against that.
Right. And you know, really what we're telling folks is that even within your own community, unfortunately, sometimes there are people who aren't exactly trustworthy in these situations.
Or desperate, or who knows what happens.
Exactly. So it might have been common from where you came from to have a verbal agreement, but really having a written lease with all of those items that you spoke about earlier is very important, and it's for your protection.
Okay. And what exactly should be in the lease? Bare bones. What exactly should that be?
Right. Well, they should look for the length of time they're going to be renting the home, the amount of a damage deposit, or if any, that they have to pay, when they have to give proper notice for moving out, and usually that's a month, you'll see typically in leases. You also want to look at the number of people who are allowed to stay in that home, because you don't want to make sure that you're...
multi-family living situations.
Exactly. Whether children or pets are allowed in that complex, and who's paying for the utilities? Whose responsibility is that? The landlord's, or is it yours?
Okay. And then you can also, I'm wondering, can you add things? Like, if I'm a tenant, can I add things to the lease or make requests?
Well, that's a good question, because that does come up. Maybe there's something you spoke about earlier, but you don't see it in the lease.
Right.
Before you sign that lease, that's a discussion you need to have with your potential landlord, and you both need to be in agreement on that. You cannot add things on your own to the lease after it's been signed.
All right. You know, it gets exciting when you're going to move in to any affordable housing situation, especially if you have been without. And that excitement can sort of take over some of the practical things that you need to know when you walk in the door. What should we really look for?
Right. It is exciting, as you say, but this is the time to also be a responsible tenant. So make sure that you're familiar with the appliances in the home. It's very important, and we recommend that you take pictures of any existing damage that you see when you move in right away. And also become familiar with your rights as a tenant. And then for added protection, and fortunately you're seeing more of this, get renter's insurance. Look into that.
Is that mandatory in the state of Minnesota, renter's insurance, or not?
No, it's not mandatory.
Okay.
But it is a good protection for renters.
Okay. And if I own a home, insurance is mandatory.
Exactly.
Okay. What kind of rights do renters have? It kind of sounds, I mean, it's fair play on both sides of any agreement. The renter has rights, the landlord has rights. What are some of the renter's rights? Well,
that's exactly right. The renter can expect that the landlord is going to obey the lease that they oftentimes created and that they both agreed to. They should expect that everything in the unit should work properly: the water, the heating, the appliances. The landlord should not be able to remove that tenant, that renter, without first filing a formal eviction notice to do so. They should expect that the landlord would fix any unsafe or unsanitary damage or issues within the apartment. And most of all, they should expect that the landlord would not discriminate against them as a renter.
And this is important because we've heard horror stories where you show up first day in your new affordable housing home and there is no water.
Sure.
Or there could be a health hazard in the home.
Right.
So you need to inspect that and call it to the attention of the landlord immediately. And the duties that you have that comes with it too: pay your rent on time.
That's right. Obey the law.
Obey the law.
Right. You want to act respectfully and responsibly as a tenant, and don't damage the property.
Yeah.
Right?
And that goes back to the damage deposit. If you do damage the property, You lose what you put down to get in the first place.
Exactly.
Do landlords investigate renters? If I go and apply for affordable housing, am I expected that they might want to investigate me? I mean, check my references or check to see if I'm working or...
You definitely should.
Okay.
And actually, it's the responsible thing for the landlord to do. They often do background checks on renters.
What does that mean, a background check?
Sure. Well, what that involves is it can involve a few things. Credit check. They could be looking at the tenant's criminal history background. They'll be looking at their rental history. Where were they before they're requesting to move into this home? And then employment history. You know, they will want to make sure that their rent is going to be paid. And actually, the landlord has the right to charge prospective renters for doing these checks. So if you are looking to rent a unit, you should ask about that because that could be an additional charge.
You don't want a hidden cost that sneaks up at you on the last minute.
Right.
If the landlord violates the lease, what can I do about that?
Well, you know, some examples of landlords violating the leases or being unfair is maybe not being responsible for repairing plumbing or heating, not paying the mortgage but accepting the rent payments, changing the rent without giving a month's notice. But there are organizations that can help you if you ever find yourself in one of these situations. Some, for example, are Homeline, Southern Minnesota Regional Legal Services, or Legal Aid are good resources to tap into. If you are a recipient of Section 8 or public housing assistance, you definitely want to call your management office or your housing agency and they can help you out.
Get familiar with the rules. Let's turn to owning a home,
Sure.
buying a house.
Okay.
Dream come true for many people. What should you do if you want to buy one? I mean, just in general.
Right. Well, step one is to really find out about approved lenders and trusted experts. And again, there are organizations available to help you with this. Some are the Minnesota Home Ownership Center, the Minnesota Housing, the state's finance agency, City Hall.
So you're talking about make sure you check the banks.
Exactly.
Because you're going to need a loan. Make sure you get a good,
Exactly.
reputable place.
That's right.
Okay.
Some other things you might want to do are take classes on first-time home
There's a lot
ownership.
of paperwork involved. A class will help figure that out.
Right, right.
Okay. What about a mortgage loan? What is it exactly? How long does it last? And how is it based? And
Sure, sure. Well, a mortgage loan is really a special kind of loan that's used to purchase a home. So instead of paying rent to a landlord on a monthly basis, you pay a monthly mortgage payment to the bank or credit union every month. I have to say, mortgage agreements are very complicated, so you want to make sure that you get expert advice before you enter into one. This is, again, where contacting some of those resources, taking a first-time home buyers class, can really help you out in this area.
yeah, because there are some organizations, frankly, that are going to loan you some money, and basically it's not there when you need it. And they may have taken some of your money along the way. What should I know about the mortgage process, you know, in general? I mean, really, it can be overwhelming. It's a lot of paperwork. You almost feel like when you're signing all of these papers, you're signing your life away. There's so many things. It can be scary. So what should I basically know, just to get started?
Well, aside from having a great deal of patience, you want to know that you have the right to switch loan officers if you're not comfortable with the service that you're being provided. This is not a permanent decision until you sign the final
So you got a chance.
agreement.
Okay.
Right. So shop around. Do your homework.
Okay, that makes sense. What are you shopping around for? Interest rates, obviously, or not?
Well, interest rates, one. Two, what type of mortgage product do you even qualify
And
for?
by product, you mean length of term?
Sure. Maybe you length of term, conventional mortgages versus an FHA mortgage. So those all vary, and these are all things.
And it's also important to know you can qualify for different things. First-time home buyer.
Right,
So you get a
exactly.
break sometimes on loan fees.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Plus, that could bring you some added down payment assistance if you take some of these classes.
Again, making a home more affordable.
Right.
Alicia, what happens if I have trouble paying back the mortgage? I mean, I know it's prorated and my payment will be on a monthly basis, but if I lose my job, what do I do?
Right. Well, as soon as you know you have a problem or think you might have a problem, you need to seek help immediately. If you don't pay the mortgage company can take away your home in a process called foreclosure, okay? So make sure that you contact your bank or mortgage company right away to ask for help about what you can do. There are even some new federal programs out there to help lower the monthly amount of mortgage payments. So you want to speak with a foreclosure counselor about this.
And this all, again, takes time.
Exactly.
Get in line. What can I expect from my bank when I think I can't pay the mortgage? Are they going to kick me out?
No, they're not going to kick you out right away. Again, as you said, this is a process that takes an amount of time. And you should know that sometimes banks or lenders may not listen to you if you haven't missed a payment yet. Okay? So you want to be persistent. Keep calling. Keep telling them that you need assistance. Make sure that you take good notes of who you've spoken to when you called and what you asked about and what service you got.
Because this shows that you're responsible, that you are, hey, listen, I'm aware of my situation and I am looking for help and I need you to note this in my records too.
Exactly.
Sometimes they'll offer loan modification programs, but sometimes those are not the best solutions either. What do I do if I've filed for a loan modification program, nothing's happened?
Okay. Keep calling again your bank or mortgage company. Remember that foreclosure counselors, and there are a variety of them in the state, do this for free. So going back to shopping around, and there are other resources you can take advantage of for this. The federal government, the Department of Housing and Urban Development, actually, I know has a hotline that folks can call if they need assistance or find themselves close to or in foreclosure.
If I find myself in foreclosure, there are many resources in Minnesota. Many states have resources similar to these. I'm going to mention a few for us, but please note that all of these resources are available on echominnesota.org, our website. But here in Minnesota, agencies that help foreclosure situations, Minnesota Home Ownership Center, Homeline, Legal Aid, Southern Minnesota Region Legal Services, Minnesota Housing Finance Agencies. All of these folks have different uniqueness and expertise that can sort of help you through the foreclosure process, correct?
Exactly. The main thing is don't panic. Don't feel that you have to move out of your home right away, because you don't. Just focus on getting the help that you need.
You're looking to get a footing, to get yourself balanced and resettled again, whether you're in that home or you need to move out to some different affordable housing. If I rent a home and my landlord gets foreclosed on, so in other words, this is not my responsibility now, my landlord who owns the home has foreclosed on this home. What do I do in that situation?
Exactly. Renters need to follow the same steps, basically. The first steps as homeowners do. So again, don't panic. Don't move out right away. Remember, the process takes several months. Contact some of the resources that you listed previously for assistance.
And get some help, too, from the organizations. Don't just stop at one.
Right.
Stop at others and know that there are some folks out there that are willing to give you a hand. Alicia, this is a tough topic, but it is encouraging and helpful to know that there are organizations out there and folks like you willing to help folks find affordable housing if we're persistent.
That's right.
Thank you so much for your time and expertise on ECHO.
Thank
we really
you.
appreciate it. We've talked about a lot of things, but what we'd like to do now is tell you basically just 3 key messages. Number 1, it's a big challenge to find affordable housing, but don't give up. Be persistent. It's out there. It'll come your way. Number 2, get trusted advice before signing a lease or a mortgage. And then finally, there's a variety of programs to help you. The trick is to keep being persistent and to find organizations who will bring you that help. Once again, I'd like to thank Alicia Huckleby from the St. Paul Public Housing Authority for joining us on ECHO. We really appreciate your information. You've been watching ECHO. I'm your host, Lily McDonald. For a list of all the resources on affordable housing and other topics from ECHO, please visit our website, www.echominnesota.org. Until next time, we thank everybody for watching.
Echo TV is a co-production of Minnesota's Emergency, Community, and Health Outreach Collaborative of Health, Safety, Emergency Preparedness, Ethnic and Nonprofit Agencies, and TPT's Minnesota channel.